This is an unprecedented
Our friends, and
action.
we're talking about a
Meanwhile,
problem, we start thinking together of how do we solve the problem, and that the LLMs don't have that
intelligence.
yet.
That's why
And
when
but
you hear
even
people like Sam Altman and Elon Musk saying that we are close to reach AGI, the reality is that no, this is just mathematical predictions on a silicon CPU, on a silicon chip,
right, there
right?
is some
There's
real generation of new ideas from the data that went in, because that's really how I would imagine an AGI would work.
Welcome to the From the Future podcast. I am your host, Manny Hernandez, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Carlos Art Nevares. Carlos, say what's up.
What's up, Manny?
Each week, we cut through the noise on technology, AI, crypto, financial markets, and the signals that most people miss until it's too late. In today's show, we will be talking about how the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, classified Anthropic as a supply chain risk. Anthropic claps back and says that this is an unprecedented action. Meanwhile, Sam Altman from OpenAI takes advantage and closes a deal with the Department of War. And speaking of war, Bibi Netanyahu finally got away with his plans and convinced Donald Trump of attacking Iran, and the whole Middle East is in shambles. So stay tuned. We will also be unpacking the latest on the Senate AG vote and the Clarity Act. We will break it down what the headline says, what it actually means, and why it matters for your future. No hype, no fluff, just clear signals from the future. So let's get into it. Carlos, did you know that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, classified Anthropic as a supply chain risk?
I did not know that, but it does not surprise me.
Well, it looks like he came out to X. What's happening here? I cannot show. I gotta add it to the stage. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, came out to say that their position has never wavered and will never waver. The Department of War must have full, unrestricted access to Anthropic's models on every, quote, lawful purpose in defense of the Republic. So, Anthropic came back and says that they held to our expectations for two reasons. First, is that they do not believe that today's frontier AI models are reliable enough to be used in fully autonomous weapons. Allowing current models to be used in this way will endanger American warfighters and civilians. And second, we believe that mass domestic surveillance of Americans constitute a violation of fundamental rights. This is what the CEO of Anthropic came out right just a couple hours after the designation
Here,
of
here.
a supply chain risk. So, what
Perfect. That is perfect.
right? So, but check this out. So, what's happening is basically this. For those of you guys in the audience that don't know much what's going on, basically the TLDR here is that Hegseth says that Claude, they want to use it to bomb Iran. And then it's basically, let's say that Hegseth says, Claude, bomb Iran. Make no mistakes. Claude comes back and says, discombobulating. Your task is complete. Iraq successfully bombed. Right? And Hegseth said, wait, I said Iran. Claude, oh, you're absolutely right. My apologies. Will you like me to try again? Right? That is the argument. That is the argument that the CEO of Anthropic is making here, right? So, there's two. You can use it for everything. You can deploy it on the whole network, but there's two of these elements that we think that is not ready. Autonomous use on weapons, and also the mass surveillance on American soil. So That is what's happening, basically. You know,
And I think that you have an intermediate also, in addition to those two. It's the, we discussed this before that. I think the LLMs are missing a memory model that you go talk to the LLM here and you talk to LLM there, and you have these fragmented conversations that you had with the different AIs for whatever different purposes, and they're creating these modes of knowledge that separate don't make a lot of sense. But you put them together, that's what the intention was.
well, the reality here is that AI, as it stands right now, does not have memory.
It does not.
It has context. What we call memory is just context. It's just making it bigger, right? Making the context window.
Correct.
But there is no real intelligence. That's why when you hear people like Sam Altman and Elon Musk saying that we are close to reach AGI, the reality is that no, this is just mathematical predictions on a silicon CPU, on a silicon chip, right? There's no anything that even reassembles real intelligence in the way that us humans convey or understand intelligence. And of course, there are some people that says, but once we feed the AI with all the context of all the knowledge of the human, there's this new type of paradigm shift that happens. That what we understand as intelligence is not intelligence. It's gonna be, and I'm like, bro, this thing is not capable of thinking. Period. It's capable of
not yet.
pattern recognition. It's not
Yes.
capable. We are way far away from that. So the AGI term is being just used around to raise a
Recycled.
lot of money, right? To raise
Yeah,
a lot of
but-
money.
Correct, but I do think that we may be closer than you think, right? So the way I think is this: is that today the intelligence is used in detecting intent. They talk to you and they try to understand what it is that you want, and then they go fetch it, they search it, and then they deliver it. So that's sort of the biggest use of intelligence in what we call LLM. Most of it is just natural language understanding. Understanding what you're saying. Second one is trying to figure out what you're doing, the intent. And there's that next level above that is when you and I are friends and we're talking about a problem, we start thinking together of how do we solve the problem. And that the LLMs don't have that yet. But even though the contexts are short, right? Like the buffers are, maybe 2-3 hours long for those of us that talk a lot. They could be a whole day for somebody that doesn't chat a lot. But for us, we need to get to bigger models because we use them so much. So, but once you do have some memory being built, and there's some projects out there now, like Claude, right, that are trying to. Those are the beginnings of memory. I think once you have memory and even better shared memory, right, where my brain collaborates with your brain, right? There is some real generation of new ideas from the data that went in, because that's really how I would imagine an AGI would work. It needs to generate its own ideas. It needs to
But that is
to
the
act
part that
autonomically.
I think we are way far away. Right now it continues to be input output, right? And it's all about how much data we're input and then the topic. So right now the issue is that you cannot provide a full context window of all the knowledge of humanity just to solve a plumbing issue, right?
No,
so you have to
no,
give all the
correct.
plumbing knowledge, right? At the very least.
Yes.
So that is where right now the conversations are happening around optimization of the context windows. And then that's where agents, because now you can have sub agents and every agent can be an expert on just that little thing. So, but
Yes.
it's still speaking within the concept of a context window.
At any
not
point,
that-
yes.
So we're not talking about the machine actually going out and using the data to think in the way us humans think and evaluate concepts. We can even create scenarios that doesn't even exist just to evaluate, right? So right now, yeah, it's capable of passing a lot of exams, but everything is being done through the process of just pattern recognition based on how humans have responded to that question before. It's not about meet. It's not about the AI actually having a conversation
Generating its own intelligence. Yeah.
inside its head. Exactly. So when it says
Yeah.
thinking, it's not really thinking in the way that you and I think. But
It's
at the end of the day,
evaluating.
it's just the AGI concept is being used as a hype to raise a bunch of money. But the problem is that our politicians that doesn't understand any of this technology, they hear AGI and they say, "Oh, we're close of having our robots going out and fighting our wars for us," and that's what we see happening in real time. So we also see that what I call, and that's why the title on the thumbnail, AI wars. Why? Because when you really think about it, it's not only about the controlling the war scenario, it's about controlling who is going to have the AI that dominates. So as Anthropic is trying to be this take this high moral ground, on the other side you have Sam Altman that comes in and says, tonight we reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. He also goes on to say we also will build the technical safeguards to ensure our models will as they should, which the Department of War also wanted. We will deploy FDAs to help our models to ensure the safety and deploy on the cloud. Also, they also say that they want to basically not have the mass surveillance, right here. So they says, two of our most important safety principles are prohibitions on domestic mass surveillance and human responsibility of the use of force, including for autonomous weapon systems. And I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't that exactly the reason why they pull out of Anthropics? Anthropic says you can have it all, just not mass surveillance in United Americans.
Yes.
And now, a human must be responsible. You cannot have an autonomous system deciding who lives or who dies, right? So now OpenAI says that we also have those clauses on our contract. So what is the real reason they're pulling out of the other one? To the point to call it a supply chain risk. This is
definitely political. It's a political game to
it's
start
bait and
with.
switch. It's the classic. They already know Sam. Sam was open source until it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Moral until it's not. Those two clauses until it's not. So what they do is like, we need to present it, and we don't want our investors to scarce, especially when we're in the middle of a round that they just announced to. Well, I think they just announced the round, $150 billion round. So okay, so we need to say that those clauses are in. Now we're gonna come 3 months later and remove them, and that's it. The same way they have been removing everything. They commit to something, then I don't commit to it. Then when it's not convenient, yes, but no. So, but what I find it funny. I just find it funny because basically what's going on here is that we saw it happening with OpenClaw, how it was first called Claude, Anthropic sends a cease and desist. They rename into Moldbot, then OpenClaw, and here comes Sam and shoots, because they're just the acquisition of OpenClaw was more about taking a shot at Anthropic. So now Anthropic loses that contract with the Department of War, and here comes again, right? Sam. Tell Dario I want him to know it was me. This is what people are saying out there. That's pretty much what's happening. So that's it for the AI wars. So we'll see who's going to be taking over. We're going to see what AI position themselves as the government approved AI, right? And and in this case, it looks like OpenAI has the win. I will not be surprised that in 6 months we see some more powerful AI arising, to the point that the Department of War says he's bye that contract and says, now I want this other one. It could very well happen as well, because OpenAI right now is falling behind on
It,
development.
it, they are. I thought. I also think that. Think about the Windows versus Mac wars earlier in the operating system wars, right?
Mhm.
That back then Microsoft decided we're going to become the corporate and the government tool, and while Apple was pursuing the educational institutions, every school had Macs in them, all that other stuff, and and Microsoft knew how to work the politics, and I think that's what you're seeing here. Microsoft owns OpenAI, so they're using that power and influence to move the AI where it's going to make sense, and that's the thing is, Microsoft has never been ambivalent about, hey, we're just about the money, right? We're
Mhm.
a business, and this is where the business is. So I think you're going to have some of that influence on the outcome. I think Anthropic is going to continue to purchase to focus more on the corporate market, on the use of Anthropic for corporate uses, and Microsoft, as usual, is going to go after the mass markets. I think it's sort of keeping in line with the ethos of the different companies that own the technologies. So I think you hit it on the nail. I think you're going to have that war. I don't think it'll be a third one. I think it'll stick between those two for now. They have way too much mass and too much investment for a newcomer to come in and start slugging it with them.
Yeah, no, that's they lock in the market and they corner the market. All the wrappers are built around different little technologies, and as they
Yes,
grow, then it's very hard for me or for other technical teams to then get out of the use of those technologies. The same thing is happening right now, even for the Department of War. They want to kick
yes,
out Anthropic. They still need a 6 months phasing out, and I'm pretty sure that they did use those models right now on the attacks that are ongoing on Iran, which we're going to speak about here in a minute. But first, I want to speak to you about voice sales flow. Voice sales flow can transform your website with intelligent voice sales agents that can help you gain more leads, because when people come to your website, they just want to find out what they want to do. They don't want to be waiting around. They don't want to be navigating about around your website trying to figure out if you do what is that they're looking for. So you can offer your clients and your visitors a simple little chatbot that allows them, and I say a chatbot because we're used to the word, but it's actually like a voice bot that enables a full blown AI to sell your website, to sell your products and your services, to collect the leads, to provide customer support, or anything that visitor needs from you. This AI can provide that to that visitor 24/7. So get Voice Sales Flow AI today and start growing your business. Carlos, my man, let me tell you
well,
something.
first of all, before
Mhm.
you say anything, I tried voice flow on one of my websites this last week, and the customers loved it. They were like, wow, this is almost like a full blown receptionist. Can you have it answer the phones? I'm like,
And
well,
that is the
maybe.
concept. That is the concept. So there is a site, as far as I understand, that deals with all the websites, but then there's another services that come out of the same Intel company that they do all the voice and the sales, so everything that is over the phone. But this is such a great no-brainer because
No brainer.
most everybody right now mostly is using the little chat bubble that is automated, and it sucks because
No,
it can never answer you what you really want.
they frustrate me more than they help me. I never use them anymore, right? Because if you are not in the 5 use cases that they put into the script, that's it. You're
And that's the
done.
thing, because it's not those were are not a real AI. Those are
No.
scripted, and but for whatever reason they wanted to use the brand, so they started calling it AI assistants. We're talking since 2010 we have been having these little so-called AI assistants, and they're so dumb that we know Siri cannot do half of the things you ask. Right? So all of these AI assistants that we have been so-called using for so many years, they were never real AI. So now that technology has advanced, we have amazing AI that can truly do this type of jobs, and they're set to increase the productivity of people tenfold. So we're great to have be able to bring these type of technologies to you guys. But let's talk about what's going on around the world, my man, because unless you're living under a rock, you should have already seen that the war broke in Iran,
It
and
did.
the whole Middle East is in shambles. So we got some breaking news as the moment of us recording this podcast. We know that the leader of the regiment in Iran is being found dead. So he has been confirmed dead by Israeli officials. We also know that as of just a few minutes ago, Trump in Truth Social has says that he has been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships. Some of them relatively large and important. We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea. Also, in a different attack, the United States have largely destroyed Iran's naval headquarters. But Trump says that other than that, their navy is doing very well. What do you think, my man?
I don't know. I mean, you look at, although I'm sure he doesn't quite take full responsibility for hitting Mexico the previous weekend. It seems like this is his weekend. His weekend activity. What country should I take over next? He goes Venezuela, then he hits the cartel in Mexico, and then he's going after Iran, and I think he's just on an acquisition campaign.
Well, what I really think is that whatever to hide the Epstein's files, right? Whatever to deviate the attention.
Put the attention somewhere else on whatever. Who knows where else?
It can be El Mencho, it can be
Yeah.
it can be Iran, it can be anything else except the files,
Yes.
right? So, but at what cost? That's the reality right
Unfortunately, that's true.
now. Right now, we're alienating all our allies. Mexico, our things are going down south because the president had vouched not to fight the cartels, but now it looks like they're fighting the cartels, and nobody knows what's really going on. But then, as soon as that news hit, as soon as it came, it went, because we had no time to even digest the El Mencho news or the things that are ongoing in Mexico, because now we have Iran and everything that is going on there. So what really worries me is that there's a civil war going on among our intelligence agencies. That's what I think that is truly going on, and you can see it since the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated onwards. You can see how there was this shift where the CIA is more leaning leftist, right? More Democrat. Then you have the intelligence agencies of the military, which is, people forget that the military, people talk about the executive and the judicial, but there's another one. There's the military, and they have their own branches, their own intelligence agencies within the military branch, right? They have got their own everything, and out of Fort Huachuca is where all of these missions kind of have been coming out, pretty much positioning everything, and that's what's really happening, in my opinion. There's a civil war among intelligence agencies of who's gonna take the control, and right now, Iran is just a distraction. Because they know, well, there's only one worry, and it's what is happening right now, and it's just also happening as of a couple minutes ago. First, let's show some images of the attacks, of what's going on. So this is coming, everything's happening on X. This is coming out of US Central Command. So this is they're hitting targets everywhere. So this is not just like an surgical attack. This is not similar to what we saw last time. It's nothing like what we saw in Venezuela. This is a real war. This is a real war, real targets, and real retaliation from Iran as well.
Sure.
And they're hitting Dubai, they're hitting Qatar, they're hitting many places, and then people are saying, but they're not hitting, military bases. Why will they?
Yes.
Why will they aim to a military base? They want to,
This is not a basketball game.
you're killing me. I'm shooting whatever I can hit. I don't care because I am actively being killed. Bro, if I'm the same, I'll be shooting whatever it moves.
Shoot first, ask questions later.
It doesn't matter. But here's also the other problem. Austin, Texas. First sleeper cell. We have been speaking about this. In the United States, we have been discussing these possibilities for so long. So, drive-by sympathizer of Iran. Now, they're starting to take action because why not? Why wouldn't they not take action? That's the part that people need to understand. So let's watch this video. These images are from inside the bar when the shooting just took place a couple hours ago. This is Austin, Texas. Our thoughts and prayers go to the families and everybody affected in this shooting, and also in the Middle East and everywhere where these wars have affected anybody in any shape or form. We need a little bit more of the Lord. That's what I know. We have no control over what's going on. We can only sit down and watch and pray that everybody that we love stay safe. And if you're watching this, please make sure you stay safe, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it to be out there risking our lives over politicians, over whatever a politician wants to do. So it's crazy, my man. What do you think?
Well, I'm from Puerto Vallarta. Last week it was Puerto Vallarta, and it was really for me, as you do. I think this is just a distraction from something very key somewhere else. Even in Mexico, nobody got hurt except for the roads got blocked and the airports got blocked. At least in my part of the world.
Almost
of course.
As if a distraction is going on, right? Of some sort.
You would think that with so many explosions in the Puerto Vallarta area, and there were hundreds of them, that somebody would have gotten hurt somehow, right? And there were no casualties, and there were the hospitals were fine. There was no, there were minor incidents, but in the whole, it was more about shut down the traffic, stay in your houses, don't go out, that kind of stuff, and so to me, I really agree with you that it seems like the whole idea was let's shut down the world for a little bit. Let's get somebody's attention, right? They didn't hurt any really big targets. That if this had been a real war, they would have gone after expensive properties. They didn't hit any expensive properties. So I think that was a distraction, maybe a prelude to this, but I think it's very obvious that the U.S. is in. I'm going to go, like you said, the military has its own thinking right now, and they seem to be getting the okay from the XO. So there you go.
That's the only way logically to explain, because nobody cares about the opinion of the people. That's out
right.
of the window, right? So right now, may God help us. That's all I know. And with the permission of all the families and everybody affected, we're going to move forward from the topic a little bit to look into the markets, but we continue to monitor the situation, and we are aware that, there is a lot of pain and suffering happening in the world right now, and, only God can help us and bring some peace to our hearts on during these uncertain times. So let's talk a little bit about the markets, because out of all of this right now, everything took place on a Saturday, right? War breaks
Yes.
loose. El main show is on Friday, on Saturday, or Thursday, Friday. The market has not even chance to react. Boom, you got war with Iran, and but the markets are closed. The only thing that is outside, and trading, as always, is Bitcoin. But as we know, Bitcoin hits at 63, and if we look right now, it's trying to bounce, I think, a little bit. Let me connect again. Let's see where we at here. We're back at 66. So let's see real quick, how is the sentiment? How are people feeling on the internet?
They told us to pivot to AI. They told us that crypto was for fat losers. But guess what? We ain't going nowhere. We live with the ups. We live with the downs. We go through this every single goddamn day. You think we care if we jump to zero? We got balls of fucking steel. You think the AI is gonna be transacting with Visa and MasterCard? Hell fucking no. It's gonna be built to the quantum resistant rails of cryptocurrency. Send my crypto to the goddamn moon.
All right. Okay. We know what's going on in the market. That's how crypto Twitter is feeling. So if you think that the retards have left the room, that has not yet happened, my friend. We continue to be here. We continue to believe in the technology, and we understand that price means nothing. At the end of the day, how are all these AI agents and robots that are going to take over our lives going to transact among each other? They will need crypto. So if you see these red days, if you see these prices, all I see is opportunity in the markets. If not, ask our gold bugs, because right now, look at gold. And it's not trading.
Wow.
It's not trading. So what do you think is going to happen to gold on Monday?
Well, sometimes people think that gold is the thing to have in uncertain times because it's the one thing that's worth it. And usually you see negative news impact gold positively most of the time.
I think it's going to fly.
I think so too. I mean,
it's going to fly,
you've seen
because look at even silver recovering from that massive manipulation dump that took place at the COMEX. That's a topic for another day, how the COMEX has been just manipulating this market left, right, and center. But when you look at gold, you can see clear as day that everybody's trying to flight to safety. For whatever reason, Bitcoin has not been able to hold on to the, safe haven or safe or store of value narrative. But still, the technology is too strong, and cursed is, only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. So that's a powerful narrative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it means it doesn't go to zero as long as there's interest in it, and I think the interest is already there, right? Now, you get the big guys like Sayer and stuff like that have massive holdings, but I think the public is
they're going to create. That's what's going to happen to Bitcoin as a narrative. The only thing that will survive is the 21 million narrative, right? The digital scarcity narrative. And what I foresee, and it's already happening, several financial products will arise. The ETF just being one of them. ETF is just being a rail into it. But now, imagine DeFi, but on Bitcoin, centralized, where it's not DeFi, it's just FI.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But basically, Bitcoin becomes just another financial asset or financial vehicle from which that can be collateralized or that can be leveraged into several different financial products. And is that what's going to give a value? It's going to become a point where when you look back, you're not going to know what came first, what gave value to first, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah.
Is the egg giving value to the chicken, or is the chicken giving value to the egg? But at the end of the day, without one, you cannot have the other. So there will be several products that will coming to birth, and I'm thinking towards the next cycle now with AI fully developed, and now it's a marketplace of ideas with everybody that has a great idea being able to develop that idea into existence. It will accelerate everything to the point where that's what's gonna hold Bitcoin, right? So I see the price, I get it. We've been there, done that. Not the first time we see in the bear market Bitcoin fall below 50% of the previous all-time high. But a lot of speculation around, well, if it's not a payment, and if it's not a store of value because it's not competing with gold, what is it? And that is that uncertainty what is been causing a lot of the OGs to leave. But what they forget is that now with these financial rails and Wall Street here, it's going to be centralized services. A lot of people are not going to like that fact, but it's financial products are going to develop around Bitcoin, and that is what's going to hold that digital scarcity value up.
And I think you're right for a couple of reasons. One is what you see happening is you see institutional liquidity backing Bitcoin, right? So now you have these funds which are institutional. They don't go to zero. They tend to move very slowly and do things like that. So that's now backing the value of Bitcoin. So I think that immediately starts creating a pull towards centralization, right? Now these centralized funds become a much better source of Bitcoin than the open market, because I can go and put $100 into a fund and diversify among other things. So I think that institutional liquidity is really good. And I think that the other fact is that now you have some foreign, some countries starting to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, like El Salvador and others, that these countries have now a stake in providing, institutional liquidity, and now just not liquidity, but actual rails and exits.
You bring up a great point, where many times where we're looking at the industry, we look at everything through the lens of the United States financial, technology stack and rails, because that's where the consumers are, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, there are several other countries, and all of them are building in their local jurisdictions rails and technologies and systems that provide financial stability. And then we have also seen how, before all of these things happen in Venezuela, Bitcoin was the real, solution for the unbanked, because that's another thing. Yeah, stable coins will serve you well while you continue to be the slave of a bank. But the moment you get out of a bank and they don't want you to use it, how are you going to offload? How are you going to offload? How are you going to on-ramp, off-ramp? Right? So that's where you need real decentralization, real consensus algorithms, giving that ability to the people that cannot even open a bank account.
Correct.
So that all the technology that revolves around that will be huge. But we'll see now. Let's see the memes of the week brought to you by the Degen wallet. Let's see what they have been sharing around this week. And of course, they're targeting the vibe coders. Users thinking it's safe to use the app. Meanwhile, the vibe coders are fixing the bug on production. Man, I saw this. This was hilarious. Then, what is this one about? The normies. The normies starting to realize how bad it's getting. Me knowing that it's going to get way worse.
Yes.
And then the Bible guys. Of course, we got the Bible guys. This is how they feel right now. Just knowing that, the Bible is playing out exactly how it says that it's what's going to play out. So that's how they're feeling right now. And, and if you ask me where do I see myself in 5 years? Here you go. This is where I see myself in 5 years. So this is kind of how people are feeling. This is the vibes of the current situation. We have to try to, to laugh it off a little bit, try to shake it off, because obviously, today is not an easy day in the world, right? But we need to keep the humor up We continue to be alive. We continue to breathe. Right. We continue to be here. So this is where we at.
Well, I think that something that we all have to keep in mind, and I think the more we practice, the better we'll be, is flexibility, right? That
Mhm.
I spend a lot of my day talking to developers, and now I'm telling you that if I talk to a developer that doesn't use some large percent of their time vibing, I'm saying it's not worth it. I'm paying
Yeah.
you to do something that is not productive. Sitting there typing all the code and everything else to me is crazy. Now I do type some code, but most of the time the AI takes everything around it and makes the things. That's where the AI, I think, being the pattern recognition engine that you spoke of, or whatever, is useful. And some people say, well, it's going to soon replace me as a developer. Possibly. I don't know if that's true or
It's
not.
gonna
But
be you're gonna be the orchestrator. You still need a human, and what people need to understand is like the IBM concept of the 80s or whatever is when they came
the
around
big
with that
brother.
rule remains.
Yeah.
It remains. It doesn't matter how intelligent a computer is. A computer can never be held responsible.
Right.
It's that simple. A computer cannot be thrown in jail. Therefore, it's about the human responsible. So basically, you're gonna be a developer. You're gonna tell the AI what to do. The AI will do it all for you, but you're responsible, motherfucker. You're
Mhm.
responsible. So it's your job to make sure that whatever the AI is doing it well, and you revise the code and maybe modify. Oh, you got it wrong here. Let me fix it real quick. Let me fix it real quick. And you make sure the output is the output. It's not hallucinating. It's not coming up. How many times we're dealing with AI? I lost half a day a couple of weeks ago, thinking it was feeding. It was giving me real data. All the data
Yeah.
was made up.
Yes.
And then I realized to us, are you sure all this data is from the API I gave you when in the first prompt?
Oh,
You are right.
you are a genius. You are a
Oh,
genius, Benny. How
I
did you
should
figure it
use
out?
that. I should use that. What? So you mean to tell me that all of these functions and all of these other things that followed are from made up data? So that's the part. Because then if imagine I go to Don, right? Hey, look at what I got here. All with
Yes.
made up data, fired on the
Yes.
spot. Because they cannot fire the AI. They're not gonna fire. It's not the AI's fault. It's my fault for not catching what the AI got wrong. So
Well, yeah, and you got the exact model, right? That we need to become experts at whatever it is we are, so we can tell when the AIs are hallucinating.
exactly,
Right.
and that's why the expertise of a human continues to be relevant. Because if only the AI knows how to do your job, or where, right, and you don't know how to do your job because the AI has always done it for you, then how do you know that when the AI is wrong?
Exactly.
So that's why now human expertise continues to be more important than ever. And
Exactly.
yes, the AI may at some point become more intelligent than us, but even that intelligence is a different type of intelligence that doesn't think in the same way our brains that God gave us were designed to think. So we still above, because not because
well, yes.
not because we're more intelligent in terms of the output. You still beating me on the output because of speed. It will take me 20 years to come with the same output using my brain, but you're not using the same thinking patterns that I'm using.
Well, and it can be more than just thinking, right? When you think about a human, you have emotions, you have irrational thinking that happens when fight or flight instincts hit. We have instincts, we have emotions, we have moral centers, right? We even the most heartless human being that you can imagine still classifies things as right or wrong. It may be totally crazy, but they still have that classification.
And many of those villains, they know they're doing it wrong, but they're still wrong. They're still the classification of evil.
Yes.
In what they do. They're just cool with it. I'm just cool with doing evil, but they still evil.
Exactly.
So that's how they see it.
Yeah. So I think that human value is where you have to start thinking as my industry is getting more and more AI based. How do I apply my human value into that equation?
That's a great tagline for what is coming in the future. A tagline for a company: stay human. It's not about not using AI. It's making sure that everything that is being done with AI is about keep things human. Stay human. Because
what a day when we have to remind people to stay human.
Well, think about this. This is the part that that's why the title of the podcast is From the Future Podcast. I'm like, well, if I extrapolate this a couple generations forward, there will be a point where we're gonna get back into our lizard brain. Our brains will not develop. A kid's brain will not develop because the moment he feels hungry, an AI detects he's hungry. Or maybe all he has to say is, "I'm hungry." Now the AI that knows everything you have eaten is going to be able to know exactly what you need to eat right now. If it's a pizza or a burger or whatever. So and enough so that you don't get bored of the pizza. So not too much pizza, but not too much burgers, but not it's exactly. So you will always be satisfied, optimized for you. So you don't have to think. You don't have to know how to cook an egg. Everything done for you. So you are just a lizard. The lizard brain is the only thing that is operating. Everything else in the brain shuts off. And if everything
it becomes dull,
your ability to critical thinking goes away.
Your senses get dull, no question about it, right? You don't use them. That part of the brain just doesn't operate.
I see it on my life with English being my second language. If I don't have people that I can speak English with, the moment I go a couple of weeks just in Latin America, not speaking with nobody, I go back to English and I feel dumb. I get it. I got an accent and I'm butchering every other word, but you still understand me. But there's times where when I'm coming out of that glitch, we're like, what is he saying?
What are the words that are coming out of your mouth?
I haven't been using English for a couple of weeks, and my brain is that fast. Brain is already starting to lose it. Crazy.
And so imagine all these kids, like you said, that are being, even today, you look at my kids, they were born into cell phones and video game boxes and all this other stuff. And they can't even imagine my childhood where there was one radio station. I didn't get TV till I was like 12 or 14.
I was the control remote.
Yeah, exactly. Or the rabbit ears. Or the rabbit ears, hey.
First put it on the channel we want to watch. We want to watch channel 4, but we cannot see it. Now go on the top of the roof. So because you're the key. So figure out how to climb to the roof and to the right, to the right, to the left, right? There. That was our childhood. I will not change it. Having an analog childhood and a digital adulthood is the very best thing.
I am with you. I think we caught the best of all those worlds. But I've been experiencing these last few weeks is where some people are now starting to send me GPT transcripts, and these kids send each other GPTs. Because they no longer want to express. Yeah, they don't.
So you write it and then you put it to the GPT. How can I say this better? Now it's no longer you speaking. Now it's
but they send me the whole conversation, right? So that I can go through the process of reading. This was one of my children, right? One of my young boys says to me, this is like, Dad, what do you think? So I'm sitting here, I'm doing 15 minutes of conversation between him and the AI
and the GPT
and the GPT. And the conclusion, and to me is like, well, okay, but you understand that the reason you reached that conclusion down here is because when you started up here, you're already wrong. You gave it the wrong. I said so, but in his mind, he's like,
that's
but no,
what most people don't understand. Crap in, crap out.
And he sent his transcript to another friend, and the friend agreed with him, and then they sent to another friend, and by the time all three of them got done, they all believed that this false thing was now true because the GPT agreed with them. So, I'm getting floored by that. The other one is now when I have some discussions with some mothers, some of my friends, they have kids, and their kids, because I was an adult while they were in adolescence, they used to talk to me a lot. So no, they still now reach out to me and ask me questions, and sometimes it has to do with conversations with their parents, and then their parents send me GPTs. My child said, you told him this, and this is why I think you should not be giving advice because GPT says you're wrong. And I was almost tempted to say, this is why your GPT is wrong.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The GPT is just a reflection of you. When you're speaking with an AI, you're just looking in the mirror.
Exactly.
And people fail to understand that. It's a reflection of what you're inputting.
And it's the beautiful reflection, right? Because they've been trained to make you feel good.
Oh, yeah, because attention, they want you to continue to be there because every time you speak with it, it's also consuming data that they're going to use to serve advertisements on Amazon later that you don't even know. That's something else that people talk about, the ads. And I've been diving into this concept, and it made me realize with everything that we just spoke today about Anthropic and the AI war, Anthropic released this little website where you can see for yourself the type of intelligence and how they can tie all those points together. And it made me realize they don't need to serve ads. It's all about the data in the back and being able to tell Amazon, okay, serve this ad. Tell Facebook, now you serve this ad. When you in Instagram, hey, Instagram, you serve this ad because he was speaking with me earlier about this and that. So they don't have to actually inject the ad in the conversation so that you don't feel like you're being manipulated. The manipulation is going to be much more subtle.
More subtle.
Yeah, just like
I would say that it's even one step removed because the data that they're picking, that I'm guessing, if I were them, I would do it this way: is I would anonymize the data anyway. And so it's that. Yeah. So I don't need to know your name, your location, all that other stuff. But although the location is going to show up at the moment of serving the ad, so you could make the location be sensitive to where the ad is being served in real time. But the other piece is, that they know I'm a male, they know I'm 60-something years old, they know I know technology, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, these ads are getting really good. They're targeting every one of my things. Yeah.
They don't need to know that your name is Carlos. Why? They're just user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. I don't care. It's an ID. And that's how they that's how they go around what we call the PID laws, the personal identifiable information laws, that are very strict, because if I don't have your name and, if I don't keep your name and your email and your phone number in my database, and you're just user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is all the aggregated data, the relationship data related to that user, whoever that is, and then at the end of the day, you're accessing everything through a device, which is also a serial number. So they get away with many laws, but still, the influence and the ability that they have to laser target is going to be.
I'm with you, and so I'm with you. Ads in this context would be a little stupid.
And that's why our users need to get freedom and walk away from the system using tools like the Degen wallet. And the Degen wallet is your money on chain forever. One app, infinite possibilities. You can swap, stake, borrow, spend your money, your crypto, your rules, your future. This wallet gives you the freedom, the speed, and the power that you need to control all of your finances. You can do cross-chain swaps, you can borrow and lend, stake and earn, crypto debit card, seedless security, and fiat on-ramp and off-ramp. Everything that you need, every blockchain, you have it. So don't wait, download the Degen wallet today and join the decentralized generation. My man, let me tell you something. The banks looks to be winning the battle. Gotta be honest with you.
They've been at it for a few hundred years.
Yeah, the banks are really a really tough wall to get through. There has always been said since the beginning of blockchain technology, when Bitcoin first came around, that this is the industry that we are here to disrupt, the banks. But my man, looking at this and how the Clarity Act has been playing out, it looks like the White House is siding with them. So there's a couple things that are happening with the Clarity Act. It looks like last week the Senate Agriculture Committee advanced its portion of the crypto market structure framework, and they are framing it as a win for a crypto industry, but this focuses on the digital commodity intermediaries and expanding the Commodity Futures Trading Commission's authority over crypto spots market, because this creates a registration and regulatory system for digital assets under the CFTC purview. It grants fee collection authority and instructs joint rule makings for the SEC. It mandates that digital exchanges, dealers, and certain custodians meet minimum capital requirements, and to register with the CFTC, establish guardrails, including risk disclosures and anti-fraud. So all of this is good because it affects every service that is centralized, right? Especially if you want to be a centralized custodian, it will require that you have deep pockets. And, with those capital requirements, in the case of something massive happening, I guess that they want to make sure that you're able to pocket out whatever comes your way. There are a number of issues to solve before the Clarity makes its way to the president's desk. In addition, is the stablecoin yield. Concerns around tokenization and DeFi needs to be addressed, as well as ethical issues to ensure bipartisan support, particularly as news reports emerge regarding Trump family crypto ties. So, translation, this is what's happening. So, Trump launched a crypto scam. Melania also launched a crypto scam days before they took over the White House. This is widely known news. Yes, it was illegal. What they did on the face of everybody that looks at this is outrageous, illegal behavior. That's actually, because they did this, there was even a whole movement in X saying that now crime is legal. Because if they can do this, then why should I pay my taxes? Why should I follow the law if they are so violently in your face breaking the law? So there has been a lot of debate about this on X. So, but this is what's happening. This new set of laws are moving through the Congress. The banks don't like the stablecoin yield. That's the only thing they don't like, because they know that if companies like Coinbase and Circle and Tether can offer yield on their stable coins, then nobody will deposit their money into their bank.
The bank.
So they're trying to get rid of that, because on the bank, on your savings accounts, you will get maybe 0.001% interest versus the 4.5% that stable coins are offering. 4%, 3.5%. That's way better than anything that your bank offers. So what are the banks doing? They're using the fact that Trump did that as a leverage. Because if you don't remove the yield out of the stable coins, we're going to make a whole campaign. So look at what's happening with Epstein's. Nobody's paying attention to this. We're going to make them pay attention, because you're clearly breaking the law. So, but we're not going to do anything unless you remove the yields from the table. And based on what I see going on out there, based on when I'm sniffing out on X, the White House has taken the position of the banks. Our biggest proponent, our biggest defender on the topic, which was Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, caved because he has not said anything. So silence means you are caving. So, and it looks like the Clarity Act will pass. Great for several of the little businesses we're doing and the technical teams we're helping, because some of them will finally be able to get the clarity that they needed to operate, but at what cost? At the same time, taking away the yield from the nurse and from the mailman, the
Yeah.
possibility for the regular guy, the possibility for wallets like our sponsor, the Digent wallet, to be able to, as a self-custody wallet, to compete with the banks gets taken away. Because
Yeah.
why will anybody, you still can compete as a wallet, you still can do a lot of good stuff because for anything you do on crypto you need a wallet, but then that mass adoption, that wave that we are all expecting, is not gonna happen unless there is a big reason for the nurse to move from Chase Bank into crypto. Why will the mailman move from Chase Bank or Wells Fargo into a self-custody wallet, or even a centralized wallet, even something that is half insurance? I'm pretty sure many of those will arise. I see Aave coming up with a wallet where you have a $1 million insurance on your deposits, right? So all of this is coming out. But if you cannot earn yield on it, why will I move? I am the nurse. I don't care. I never heard about crypto. My check goes into the bank. The only reason I will move that money out of the bank and put it into crypto, offer me yield. Offer me something better than what my savings accounts offer.
That's right.
And that's what they took away from the table. So it's key. We get, everybody's excited. Wall Street and everybody that needs the regulatory clarity is excited because finally we're going to get regulatory clarity. At what cost?
Well, and as you know, the credit system is the basis for banks, right? That they exist because they're able to extend credit. If they were unable to issue loans, the ability to create new money goes away, which is how it works today, right? What happens? You put $1 in, they get $100 that they can loan, and that generates $99 of upside for them for every dollar that we put in there. So for them, it's not even, am I losing, it's not even about me losing a few percentages on yield. I'm losing multipliers because I can take $1 and turn it into $100 worth of loans. Some of them have a 200, 300.
I think it's 86 cents. Basically, they keep 14% in reserve and they can lend out the rest. So what happens is, like, for every dollar you deposit, they create another 86 cents of value that never existed. This is on top of the interest that person will have to pay for the loan, right?
That's correct.
So that is the part, but still it's the same concept. If I can give you $1 and you give me 186 back every time, how many times will you do it? All day, every day. But if you take that ability, because what enables the bank in order to do that loop is your deposit. It's you, when you get paid by your employer, you walk into the bank and you deposit that check. That is what enables the bank to do that. If you instead take that check and you deposit it into Tether or USDC, now the bank loses completely that ability, and now their business model start to crumble.
Yes, yeah, and obviously, like I said, the credit world is how banks exist, how they survive, and that yield takes their current credit model out off the table, and I don't think they're going to take a few hundred years of tradition and we're going to bury it in a few years. It's going to take a while.
100%. So with that said, let's take a moment of silence for our good fellas at the Gen Z generation, because they were born in time to invest at the top. The pandemic came at the age of enjoyment. AI replaced jobs at the age of unemployment, and World War III came in at the age of conscription. So, what a time to be alive! What a time!
To be in that generation. I feel sorry for my kids.
Man, it's been a crazy ride. So, but we continue to be alive. Carlos, thank you very much for taking the time once again to be here with us, reacting and sharing your opinion and all these crazy topics. Let's see.
Happy to be here.
Let's see what the next week brings. We're gonna be here, same time, same hour next week. seeing what if we're still alive, right? If we're still
Let's
alive,
hope somebody doesn't get a twitchy finger.
if Jesus has not come back yet, right? Then we will be here same time, same hour, sharing with you what you guys think in all the hot topics around crypto, AI. And every week it seems like so much happens in a week. We may have to start doing
Crazy.
this. We may have to start doing twice a week or 3 times a week soon if these news cycles run so fast. Honestly, getting ready for the show today, I'm like, why should I talk? There's so much stuff happening.
So much.
Before hitting record, I'm adding stuff because we got breaking news happening before I can even hit record. And by the time you guys even see these, I'm pretty sure so much more will be happening. But no, you worry not, because we're going to continue to make fun of everything. Carlos, thank you, my man.
Thank you. It was a great show.
Awesome, my man. So for the rest of the audience, adios, and I see you on the next.